Thank you very much. Lynn, could you do the roll call, please?
Yes. Director Berringham?
Here.
Director Comation?
Here.
Director Odell?
Here.
Director Nathan? Director Nathan? Is Tom on the call yet?
I haven't seen him.
Okay, President
There you go. I was
Poland?
muted. I'm here.
There you are. Okay. President Poland?
I am here, and I'm getting off to a very poor start as a first-time president, but that's okay. I would like to go now to the... Thank you very much. I'd like to now go to the Pledge of Allegiance. We have a flag. If you would join me, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, thank you very much. All right, now, no minutes to approve, so we'll move on to public comments. Darcy, thank you for helping me out there.
Not to call you out, just wanted to make sure you had your I's dotted and your T's crossed. So thank you very much. First, I'd like to congratulate your new director, Joe Kamashian, and congratulations also to Director Berringham on being reelected. And now the real work begins, as you're probably finding out quickly. There's a couple of key things that happened at the Water Board in the last 2 weeks. One is we deferred the rate increase that was supposed to go into effect in July to January, given the economic impact of COVID-19 and some of the things we were watching on people being able to pay the bill. One of the things that's related to that is we also extended the shutoff suspension. So if you were in arrears for non-payment, normally there'd be a process in which we would contact you by mail, put a door hanger on your house, and then terminate service. With the current conditions extending, we've extended that suspension until September. We also realize, though, that it can be a growing mountain of debt that will happen. The bills will just keep getting bigger because you're still using the water, and the bills are accumulating. So we're working out right now some type of payment plan that we can perhaps implement within the guidelines the state has given us for collection and termination requirements. So hopefully I'll have something for you next month or August at the latest, that we can talk about how those people that do need a little more time or assistance in paying their bills, we will be able to extend some type of payment plan to accommodate them. As of yesterday, our lobby was open for business, so our customers can come in and take care of services they needed. That includes any development or engineering plans. Those were actually handled mostly electronically, but we do have some people that like to come in face to face, so we have put in social distancing precautions and face masks when that's not possible to be able to serve our clients. Something that might be near and dear to your hearts, if you didn't know it already, was the evidence of PFAS and PFOA in Canyon Lake. It has exceeded the state's contaminant levels, and as a result, we have not operated the Canyon Lake Water Treatment Plant this year. So you'll see that the lake levels may stay a little higher because we're not taking that water. That water costs us about $700 an acre foot. We're replacing that water with $1,100 an acre foot water. So there is a financial impact to do that. In the meantime, we have given a contract to Kennedy Jenks to do a complete assessment on what best way to use the treatment plant. Instead of putting Band-Aids on, which they've done in the past, to maybe address certain treatment requirements as new regulations come into effect, the board has asked staff to go back and do a comprehensive study to see how we can accommodate not only PFAS, but about a number of 72 other constituents coming down the line. So it looks like it's going to be some type of advanced treatment, and I don't know what that looks like yet, and I don't know what the cost will be, whether that's something we decide to do sooner than later, or we're able to work something out with some of our other local supplies to offset the more expensive imported water from Metropolitan Water District and Western Municipal Water District. As it relates to PFOA and PFAS actually being in the lake, we are working on trying to actually build our case. It's very clear to us that that contaminant came from March Air Force Base. They have provided some relief to Eastern Municipal in the form of new wells when their well levels of contamination exceeded it by almost 100,000 parts. I mean, it was absolutely no question where it came from, and it's right within the realm, right along the border of March Air Force Base. We're actually taking the stance of looking at the watershed as a whole and sampling in different locations as it leads to Canyon Lake. So in addition to perhaps testing on the north part of the lake, above the ski Salem Lake, and then up that stream, right now that's not possible to do, but in the fall it probably will be. We're looking at what best management practices the regulators are looking for that we could actually sample underneath the lake bed, to see what might be present and if there's any cleanup dollars available to do that. And if there was, that might relate to the dredging project that we've always anticipated we can hopefully work something out. So there's no promises there. We have not received protocol yet from the US EPA or the State Water Control Board on how they want us to approach it. So we're exploring that. We are also working with LEJA and SAPA because they took core samples a number of years ago. And if those best management practices allow us to go back, we would test those to see if we can show a history of when those chemical contaminants entered the lake. So that's not great news, but we are moving forward. So I would say it's a lot better than it has been in the past as it relates to trying to find a way to mediate the costs of dredging and to find out exactly what is in the dredge material. That's all I have, unless anybody has any questions. Chris, you're muted.
Darcy, just wanted to say I got a call back from somebody in your office last week after my question to you. I appreciate it. They probably called me a day or two later. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Eric, do we have any other questions?
Great. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any other public officials that would like to give us some comments? Okay, so I'd like to move on to agenda item 4, our presentations. And just to let you know that the new board spent a week meeting with the staff. 5 days we spent with the lawyers, going over all the rules that we have to live under in the state of California, talking with the, setting our own board principles so that we agree on how we're going to move forward and operate, do our activities. We had to spend a day meeting with all of the different departments and a day's meeting with our various committees and doing planning. So it was a full week. You might ask, why in the world do we need to do all that a week? Is a lot of time, especially for a volunteer group. And I'll say, well, you know, this is a very special place. It's a very mature, well-organized community. It's got an extraordinary staff, has a very rich history. We're really a community of communities that works together, that has a flexible set of governing documents that we operate under. And we are very interested in figuring out how we can best share this amazing property that we have and support each of our individual interests as we go forward. In order to do that, we wanted to set down, as I mentioned, the board's principles so that we could agree on how we wanted to move forward. And Lynn, if you could post those board principles, I just wanted to go over those real fast. You know, we recognize that our community is in the midst of transition from being a vacation and retirement community into a diverse suburban community in the middle of a growing region. And if we look to the future, we established for ourselves a series of, here it comes, core values, purpose, and vision and goals. Our core values are to be family-oriented, be a family-oriented culture to match the wide-ranging demographics, to maintain high-quality standards, support strong financials for stability, enhance the unique identity, accepting and open to diversity, treat everyone with respect, and continuous improvement to enhance our services and community. Those are the values from a long list that we chose those as our key values of how we want to work with our community and make decisions on your behalf. The reason we exist, our purpose is stated in our governing documents. This is not something that we tampered with at all. But in our governing documents, it says that through exceptional community service and business processes, we will preserve and protect the peaceful enjoyment of the property, protect property values, preserve and protect the commonly owned facilities, promote the recreation, benefit, and enjoyment of the homeowners, and enhance the quality of life and sense of community. Those are all the things that we signed up for when we joined the community. Those are all the things that we expect the board to carry out, the why we exist. It's one thing to talk about why we exist. It's another thing to talk about what our aspirations are for the future as we look forward. And these are the aspirations of this board. Through stability in collaborative leadership and management, we aspire to become one united, sought-after resort-style community for permanent residents that respects and meets the expectations of the diverse membership through enhanced amenities and increased property values. That's this board's aspiration. We have a year to carry that forward. We expect you to hold us accountable to that, and we look for your endorsement as we move forward with that aspiration. It's an exciting thing and an exciting time for us, even in the midst of all the COVID trouble that we're in the midst of. That will pass. We're together. And these are our aspirations as we move forward, step by step. Our goals are to refine the POA administrative operations by streamlining services to members, maintaining an extraordinary work environment for staff, and focusing on 5-year prioritized plans. We want to move from thinking year by year to thinking in terms of 5-year pieces. Even though we're only in place for 1 year, we want to set that 5-year target so that as we move forward, the next boards can all look what we were thinking about and decide how they want to deal with it for their period of time. Continue to expand communication within Canyon Lake and surrounding communities through available print and digital media outlets and purposefully schedule meetings. We want to enhance our interaction and our communication with all of our members and with our community. And we're making great strides in this, I believe. Refine the process for developing the annual budget and dues assessment that supports efficient department operations, justifies contributions to the reserve accounts, and supports the 5-year budget plan. Implement designated projects in a streamlined manner and prioritized order. The board and the GM will work as a fully integrated team driven by collaboration, efficiency, and trust. We look forward to carrying out those activities. We look forward to hearing from you, your thoughts on those things that we're doing. I would like to mention that we have a time on our agenda item 7 for public comments, and look forward to hearing from you on the things that you have in mind. We have a number of agenda items that will be open for discussion after the directors have a chance to talk about those. That's in the board action items. So we look forward to hearing from you. Okay, now I'd like to move on to the parking lot pavement project. Eric?
Actually,
Thanks, Steve. You gonna do that?
That'd be myself.
Okay, Steve?
Lynn, could you bring up the presentation, please? Lynn, I have it up on my computer. Would you like me to share my screen?
Go ahead, Steve. There you go.
So good evening. I'm here to talk about our pavement project to give everybody out there an update. I'd like to start by giving some feedback on the project. In 2016, Wildown Engineering was retained to design the parking lot project. They were tasked in evaluating each area for ADA compliance and possible expansion and reconfiguration in order to create the maximum available parking spaces for each area. Further, they're asked to evaluate each area for effective drainage and incorporate other features suggested by the community members, staff. In July of 2019, staff put out a RFP, or request for proposals, on this project. In August of 2019, the board of directors approved the construction amount of $3.4 million for this project. In late September of 2019, our contractor went to work. The project areas included Bluebird Hall, which was a slurry seal and striping with added parking, which has been completed. Canyon Lake Golf and Country Club, complete reconfiguration, new asphalt, concrete driveway, drive area, concrete cart path, striping, added parking. This was completed in an impressive 3-week time period. And if everybody's familiar with this project, it was quite a feat for our contractor. Diamond Point Park, it was a grind and asphalt overlay, striping with added parking. That's been completed. Eastport Park, a combination of new asphalt, grind and asphalt overlay, slurry seal, and striping with added parking has been completed. The Equestrian Center driveway entrance, new widened concrete driveway, has been completed. Gulf Field, combination of grind, asphalt overlay, slurry seal, and striping with added parking, which has been completed. Holly Harbor, new asphalt and striping with added parking, which has been completed. Indian Beach, a combination of new asphalt, retaining walls, grind with new asphalt overlay, slurry seal, striping with added parking, which has been completed. The Lodge, Tennis, and Sunset Beach, complete reconfiguration, new asphalt, concrete walkway, completing a loop around the lodge area, a large ADA path down and stairs down in the rental docks, and striping with added parking. Right now we're in phases 3 and 4, which should be wrapping up towards the mid next month. Moonstone Beach was a slurry seal and striping with added parking, which has been completed. North Ski area, both east and west parking lots were slurry sealed, striping, and added parking, which has been completed. Northgate Operations Office added asphalt, retaining wall, slurry seal, and striping with added parking. It's been completed. Senior Center, slurry seal and striping with added parking, which has been completed. Vacation Drive North from Vacation to Getz Road, slurry seal and striping. We're in the final stages of striping with a few sections left. That should be completed by this Friday, June 5th. We are now approximately 95% complete with this large project. With all we have left is the lodge parking lot with the ADA ramp in phase 3 and 4, and paving top cap and striping. And the small areas need to be striped on Canyon Lake Drive. This project was scheduled to take 240 days, which is still on schedule to be completed within the time frame, subtracting rain and pandemic delays. I'd like to share with you some photos that was taken by our great communications team. This first one is a country club. You can see the before and after photos. This has all been reconfigured. New drive circle up in the upper right-hand corner with added ADA parking for easy access to our country club. Here we have Holiday Harbor. There's Eastport. There's some cleanup the contractor is working on to do this week here in the upper left-hand corner of this picture. The mid left picture is Gulf Field, which was slurried here and added parking. We have some pictures of North Ski area on the right mid screen. Here's a before and after the senior center parking lot. We added parking, as you can see, including ADA and more motorcycle striping here on the right. The lodge parking lot, which is by far our biggest portion of this project, it's almost a third of the entire contract. It was a complete reconfiguration. As you can see here, there was a major amount of work done. Here is some of our completed sections. And here's a nice before and after of our completed sections. Down here is where we are adding on the right here is where the ADA ramp is going in. A couple more pictures. This is by far probably, these pictures before and after, probably my favorite of the lodge. You can see how badly the condition of the lodge was in and the configuration of the parking and what we are left with now. This has been a big feat by staff and our contractor. We're very proud of the completed work so far. There's been a few hiccups, but other than that, it's ran pretty smoothly. So I hope you, with this information, it could answer some questions. Any questions you can send to us, or you can send to me directly at sschneider@canyonlakepoa.com. I'm finished with my presentation.
Thank you, Steve.
I need to be unmuted.
You're unmuted. Hi.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Steve. Fantastic. Congratulations to you and Eric at the culmination of many years of work and planning and review. And I appreciate what you guys have done. Let's move on to our consent agenda. Are there any items on the consent agenda that the directors would like to pull off for discussion?
Yes, I'd like to pull item B, as in boy.
B as in boy.
Yes.
Okay. Any others? Can I have a motion to accept consent items A and C through H, please?
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, Lynn, are you with us? I'm going to say motion carried and move on. Okay, item B. Joe, let's, what would you like to, what's your discussion?
Well, I think it's a typo, and on the agenda, it calls item B a approval for a 6-foot fence. When you read the information in the packet, it's clearly a request to move an air conditioner from the patio to the side of the house, which I don't think is really fitting of a consent item. So I'd like the board to address that separately.
Okay, well, we're in the process of doing that right now. Would you like to address that, or would you like to table that for the next meeting because it was mislabeled?
Well, I haven't had a chance to go see the site. My initial feeling is that we, and planning compliance could probably speak to this if they're there. I don't think it's appropriate or legal to put an air conditioner on the side of the house. So without seeing the situation, my gut opinion is to vote this down, deny it.
Well, Joe, if you look at page 26, 26 does describe it properly, approval for HVAC and setback. So it's just it is not like a typo. It's a lot of words, but it's it should say HVAC and setback, same as on page 26.
No, I understand that, but on the agenda, on the front cover of our packet, that agenda calls it to be a 6-foot fence. And
Right, so we would need to correct that, amend the reading to say approval for HVAC and setback.
Correct.
And like you said, all the backup is about an HVAC and setback, and it shows that the recommendation is that the board of directors approves the HVAC unit located in the setback with a recorded variance for the life of the improvement on page 26.
If, I'm new to this, so if that's appropriate, then that's fine. Okay.
Chris looks like he's muted again. He's trying to get you to unmute him. There he goes.
I am not the source of the echo. All I have is my phone, and my computer doesn't even know that I have audio. So please don't unmute me. It's somebody else that's doing that.
Yeah.
So we've taken it off the consent agenda. We are in the midst of a conversation about whether we want to approve this as has been recommended. Cheryl, are
Yes.
you available? Can you address this, please?
I sure can. So along with the 6-foot fences, this is an HVAC that is in the setback. What had happened was during an escrow inspection, the inspectors had noted that there was an HVAC that was located in the 5-foot setback. And we have put it on the consent agenda because the consent agenda was actually created for the 6-foot fences and anything that was found in the setback to no fault of the member who purchased the home. So if this were somebody who lived there right now and wanted to put the HVAC in the setback, it would be clearly denied. But this property here basically has had that HVAC in the setback for quite a few years, and we're just actually asking for it to be approved as is until with a recorded variance for the life of the improvement, so that when it actually does get changed out, they can relocate it at that time.
Well, Cheryl, the brief description on the handwritten form from the homeowner, I believe, it says move 2 air conditioning units from the patio to the side of the house. That is their request.
No, I understand what they said, but their brand, and the reason why it says it that way is because originally, and it wasn't these homeowners that actually did it. It was the owners that was the sellers that did this. They purchased this property like that, and so they knew that it was in the back at one point in time, and it was relocated. But they've been there for quite some time. If you can see,
So I think it says that in the brief description in the next line.
right. Units were moved in 2014 by the previous owner is basically what the appeal states from the Haslams.
It says they had a permit from the building department. And that's probably not likely.
That would be the city.
Yeah, but that's probably not likely, is it?
No, that's probably likely.
Cheryl, could you clarify that the rules that we have about the setbacks have to do with our CC&Rs, our own rules, and not necessarily code requirements?
That is correct. So our CC&Rs basically state that nothing is to be placed in the 5-foot setback for both rear and the sides. And unfortunately, it's a hardship for brand new owners coming in to have to move or relocate a HVAC unit. And that's the reason why we're putting it on there and asking for the board to go ahead and approve it with a recorded variance. If you look in the packet, there is a permit from the city of Canyon Lake. And it does look like it was given to them back in 2014. It looks like September of 2014 that the city of Canyon Lake approved it in that location.
Okay, before we can go on with discussion, can I have a motion to approve or deny this request so that we can continue talking about it?
I make a motion to approve, but the heading, the title would be changed correctly to reflect what we're really approving.
Okay. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, moved and seconded. Any other discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
I'm an aye, unmuted, aye.
My breasts finally look amazing. It took over 16 years, but I finally got the D I always wanted. Not that D, these D. Hoorah! Didn't know you were giving birth to twins.
Okay, somebody needs to mute. Okay, I did not hear any opposed to that motion. Is that correct?
No, I'm opposed.
Okay, so we're 4 in favor and 1 against.
Thought I heard another opposed, but maybe not.
Was there, help me out, Lois? Lynn, are you not available to us?
Nobody, we can't hear her. I think she can hear us.
Okay, so let's do a roll call. Tom Nathan, please let me know if you're for or against.
4.
Jeannie?
4.
Jim?
4.
Joe?
Again,
Chris is 4, so we're 4 to 1. Thank you. Okay, let's move on to the board action items. First is we have the Facility Planning Committee appointment 6.1, Steve.
Okay. So this is for the FPC committee appointment or appointments. There are 2 vacancies, 2 member and 1 alternate on the Facilities Planning Committee. 7 applications were received to fill the vacancy. However, one of those applications was received after the FPC committee made their recommendation. We're all current POA members and in good standing. The FPC conducted a 3-member subcommittee to interview and make the recommendations using Zoom. They voted to recommend Bill Van Vliet, Ray Streebling, and to fill the vacancy of the alternate, Dwight Johnson. So it's recommended the FPC recommends the Board of Directors to approve the appointments of Bill Van Vliet, Ray Streebling to fill the member vacancies, and Dwight Johnson to fill the alternate vacancy to the FPC committee, contingent upon execution of confidentiality agreement effective immediately.
Okay, thank you. Do I have a motion to approve this appointment? These appointments, I should say.
go ahead.
I so move.
I'll second.
Moved by Jean, second by Joe. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Tom, you're on mute again.
I actually turned it off and said aye at the beginning. I think I got
Oh,
it.
I'm sorry.
Unless you didn't hear me.
This is the wonders of virtual meetings. Okay, thank you very much. That motion is approved. Let's move on to the Green Committee appointment. Steve?
There is a vacancy on the Green Committee. 5 applicants were received to fill the vacancy. All are current POA members and in good standing. The Green Committee met to discuss the 3 of the 5 applicants when the committee could meet. This was pre-COVID. They voted and recommend John Evans to fill the vacancy. However, 2 more applicants were received after the Green Committee made the recommendation. They haven't met since the COVID pandemic. It is recommended the Board of Directors approve the appointment of John Evans to the Green Committee contingent upon execution of a confidential agreement effective immediately.
Okay, thank you. Do I have a motion to approve this Green Committee appointment?
I so move.
Thank you, Joe. Is there a second?
Second.
I'll second.
Any
Well, a second.
discussion?
I'll second.
I think we had a motion by Joe and a second by Tom. Is that correct?
Tom or Jim,
Okay.
either one.
Yes,
Okay.
I did second it. Yep.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carried. Okay, Steve, you're up again for the Golf Course Lake project change order, item 6.3.
Okay, a little background on our Golf Course Lake project. The Golf Course Lake next to hole 13 has served as an irrigation reservoir and a featured element of the golf course. It's been in need of repairs for many years. These repairs include crumbling shoreline, addition of a liner pump, aeration equipment, The lake was last modified in the 1980s. On July 30th, the POA put on RFP, and the scope of work included reconfiguration of the lake and natural sloping slides, added liner, relocating and replacing the bridge with an earth bridge and permits. The current bridge is badly deteriorated and required replacement. The new designs includes this additional cost. It is a slightly smaller lake and will continue to remain a signature element of the golf course. The new lake should save the POA over $80,000 a year in water costs. On September 3rd, the board of directors approved the funding for this project. In February of 2020, the contractor went to work. Having a very wet and rainy winter, the contractor had delays. As the contractor shaped the lake, it was apparent we were still dealing with a wet and soggy area due to the extremely wet winter. The engineer was contacted to come up with a solution to deal with the residual water issues and come up with a solution for future wet winters. They came up with a drainage system underneath the liner, which has added a cost to the project. The fiscal impact, there's actually I want to do a amendment to this fiscal impact since submitting all the paperwork for this board meeting. There has been actual little value engineering out of this after we dug into the project a little bit more. The change order of $42,550 from Repair and Replacement Fund 02670. The total project should pay for itself within 6 years, and that includes the project total and change order. Staff requests the board of directors to approve the funding amount of $42,550 without a contingency from the Repair and Replacement Fund 02670 for change order 1 on the golf course lake project.
Okay, thank you, Steve. Do I have a motion to approve this change order?
I have moved that we approve the change order for the lake.
Thank you, Joe. Do I have a second?
I'll second. To clarify, it's for $42,550 and a zero contingency. So that's my second.
Okay, just to make sure we've got this clear, Steve, what was posted on the screen right now calls for a change order of $63,200. You're saying that there was some value engineering done and that price has been reduced to $42,500. Is that correct?
$42,550.
$550, okay. And no contingency on that?
Correct.
Okay, very good. Any discussion?
Yeah, I would like to say this has been a tremendous asset to the golf course and to the community. The lake has been, there hasn't been any water put in the lake for over a year. And while the projections were that we would save $80,000 a year, there's already significant numbers showing that will become true, or if not even better, as our water saving. This particular change order was kind of an ironic thing because we had to put the lake in because we were losing water. They dug the lake out, they dug it deeper than it was, and they had water problems, groundwater problems that required this change order. And it's just kind of ironic that we were losing water for so many years and costing us so much money. Our one problem now is that we're getting water back in the lake when we don't want it. And so I think this is a good move, and I'm anxious to see the completed project.
Thank you, Joe. I'd just like to clarify that in a hilly situation as we have now, our mountains store a lot of water. When you have a very, very wet season, it's not uncommon for the water table to come up and stay up until they drain out. That's why the streams keep running. Maybe this is all really obvious. It wasn't clear that this was going to happen underneath our lake, so this water table problem really occurs during very heavy winters. we still have the problem when the water table goes down and the ground dries out, that the water goes out. And so we still have the same issue. This is really a situation that we need to care for to protect our liner in the situation that we have. Other discussion? Okay, I have a motion to approve a change order in the amount of $42,550 for the golf course lake project. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Aye.
Excuse me? Do we have an opposed? No. Okay. Motion carried unanimously. Moving on to 6.4, the large parking lot modifications in the landscape area. Steve?
Okay, so this one, I gave a lot of background when I did my presentation, so I'll kind of just do I'll give a little bit of background. This is our parking lot project. As shown in the earlier presentation, this is for the lodge area. We've spent many years doing design and development for this project, and the RFP was put out in July of 2019, approved in August of 2019 by the board of directors, not to exceed $3.425,000. In September of 2019, our contractor went to work, and we also had a change order that came up in March of 2020, which the board of directors approved for an additional amount of $168,281 for unforeseen design and construction issues. The area that we're talking about makes up nearly a third of the contract for this $3.4 million job. We are about 95% way through the project. The large parking lot with ADA ramp is the last portion, which should be done by the end of June. Earlier I stated mid-July, so between end of June, mid-July. We would like to replace the moss, sod, and grass with artificial turf at the lodge parking lot, and this will require additional funding that was not part of the pavement scope. Below are calculations for at least a net zero expenditure at today's water prices for the turf portion of this project. Life expectancy of the turf is 15 to 20 years. Calculating out with today's EVMWD prices, that was scheduled to go in effect on July 1st, but I believe Darcy said that they're going to hold off on that. But these are all tier 1 prices, the minimum we would pay. And as we know, price of electricity, water, they go up over the years. So the water savings is approximately $60,000 over 20 years at today's pricing. We're going to negotiate with our current landscape contractor for a $100 a month credit, so they don't have to take care of these large greenbelt areas. And over the life expectancy of 20 years, that'd be $24,000. But as we know, labor and everything goes up, so that's a very, very conservative estimate. So if the turf lasts 15 years, we're looking at approximately $69,000 savings, which would pay for this proposed change order. If the turf lasts 20 years, we're looking at $90,000 plus. In addition to the artificial turf, other landscaping plant material and rock will be added to the parking lot end caps and light post planters. Plants and rocks will match the newly established landscape theme used at the Eastport Monument sign, the Country Club parking lot, and the main gate mailbox median. Change order of $67,050.94 for the turf, plus $19,075 for the plant rock material from Repair and Replacement Fund 02670. The turf project portion should pay for itself within its lifespan via net zero cost. The landscape portion represents approximately 1.5% of this total pavement project at just the lodge location and will allow us to restore and finalize the parking lot planners as soon as possible. Staff requests the board of directors to approve the funding amount of $86,125.94 plus a 4% contingency from the Repair and Replacement Fund 02670 670 for the change orders to add turf to the lodge parking lot.
Steve, are you going to show the sketches that you had provided about how the locations were?
Yeah, Lynn or Eric, could you scroll down? This is, there's several drawings here. This was the first drawing. This is a sidewalk, as you can see, that is included in our original pavement scope. The turf will be placed on either side of it and around the light post areas in this particular planter or turf area. If we scroll to the next one, this is an overview from the tiers that go down towards Sunset Beach. There would be thin strips of turf placed in to these areas. There are small gaps that you cannot see in this one, but if we scroll down to one more with some red highlights, you'll see that and also the island that's out in front of the lodge here would be replaced with artificial turf. And the last one is where the plant material would be going. And is it not there?
Keep going.
Oh,
There
right
you
here.
go.
So in the red shaded areas, I don't know, I would have made this a little prettier if I knew it was going to be out on a public display, but in the red shaded areas is where we propose to put our plant and rock. And if you can see some red dots along the turf line, those will be breaks in the turf where there'll be a small portion of rock and plant material there.
Quite the landscape architect, Steve.
Yes, yeah.
Good
Yeah,
job.
sorry, I went to school for mechanical engineering, not the landscape.
Steve, I'm sorry, the red dots will be a small portion of what?
There'll be small breaks in the turf, just to give it a little bit of a little bit more depth, if you will. We're going to do small, approximately 4 by 4 foot planters with rock and plant material.
Oh,
So it's hard to see here because this drawing, has 5 different tiers and it's a large portion of the parking lot, so the scale is a little zoomed out. And also what you can't see is around the light pole bases that are currently there will be also rock and plant material.
okay.
Okay, thank you very much, Steve. I appreciate the explanation and the images. Do I have a motion to approve this change order 6.4?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Thank you, Jim. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any comments from the board?
The comment is, I believe it's going to be beautiful when it's all done.
Thank you.
And the other comment I want to make is that Steve did verify that the turf that's going down meets our standards with ACC. So we're good there as well.
I wonder, Eric, if you could, or Steve, if you could make some comments about the quality of the turf and its durability for parking cars and heavy traffic and lots of people and all that.
The turf is a commercial high grade turf. It has a life expectancy between 15 and 20 years. It's very, very durable. This kind of stuff is used in public parks and public areas and schools all the time. And we're going to have kids running around on this stuff, and what better quality to put in that stuff that you see at schools that kids are pretty hard on. So I'm pretty confident that this is going to be a great addition to our lodge parking lot. It should be very durable and it should last us 15 to 20 years.
Thank you. Eric, do you have any comments requested from the community?
Let's see. Not on this particular item. I do have one.
Okay.
What is the plan to clean the turf, dog urine and trash, etc.? And the answer to that is our operations staff and ground staff regularly cleans all these areas. And we also have irrigation in those areas that should work similar to the dog park. It'll irrigate on a regular basis to wash the area. So I hope that answers your question. Let's see.
Okay.
Oh, and another member said dogs are not allowed in this area. So it's a good point.
Okay, any other discussion from the board?
Let's see, hold on. Tim raised his hand. Where's Tim? I gotta find Tim, sorry. Probably muted. Sorry, bear with me here. There's
This is Tim.
oh, hey Tim.
Yes, I was also wondering, I know some people with the artificial turf, they're having problems with like heat, people getting burned and stuff by it. I would imagine the rinse down of that area may help. Is that a concern for the community or no?
I can answer that. The product's put down with like a rubber, tiny rubber pellets that kind of hold it down and help keep the turf standing up. And there's another additive product that's added to it that's like a white granules that are specifically designed to keep the heat down. So the contractor that's doing this does stadiums all over the West Coast, and it's being done professionally with our climate in mind.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Tim, folks, when you address us, could you please give your full name and your track and lot? I appreciate that. Any other
Roger.
comments, Eric?
That was Tim Payne, 4001 007.
Thanks a lot, Tim.
Thanks, Tim. I don't have any further comments, Chris.
Okay. I have a motion and a second to approve the lodge parking change order to take care of artificial turf and landscaping. All those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed?
Aye.
Okay, motion carried. Thank you very much. We're ready to move on to the next item, which is the first of our 28-day reading. It's a board meeting policy. All of the policies that we set go through a 28-day reading process. It gives you a chance to review and comment on those. This is a policy that the board has put together for consideration. Could you scroll to the actual policy, please, Lynn? What we're doing is that we are updating the policy to include virtual meetings, and we're considering and giving ourselves the opportunity to, and if we can figure out how to do it, to do both virtual meetings and face-to-face meetings when the time comes, because we do very much appreciate how many people are able to attend this meeting and communicate with us on their interests. Also included in here is a requirement that anything that's added to the agenda needs to be done at least 7 days in advance, so that proper documentation for agenda items can be developed and distributed, so that the conversation surrounding those agenda items can have the benefit of some review. There's also a clarification. If you could scroll down a little bit, Lynn, to keep up with me. There's also a clarification in there about member comments. Before, boards have taken the position that the member comments are something to be heard and not commented on. In going back and looking at the Davis Sterling rules, we are allowed to ask questions. When you make your member comments, we're still going to be limited in time, of course, but we'll be able to ask questions to make sure that we clarify what you're commenting on. And then each member at the close of the member comment period is given the opportunity to comment on your suggestions or what you've said to us, and we can make a determination of how we want to move forward. I'm very interested in making sure that the member comments are heard and that they're acted on. We've actually gone back and looked over the last year's member comments and have included in our agendas trying to address and consider all the things that you're saying to us. The last thing is that we're deleting the provision for an open forum, which is left over from years ago. That I guess occurred after the open session. that we don't do anymore. We didn't do it at all last year, and we don't see the need for that. So as I said, this is up for a 28-day read. I'm going to go to the directors for their comments on it, and then anybody have any comments?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I do.
Okay, Joe.
Under member participation in the first paragraph, the change that we put in the second line, regular open session meeting, and each topic raised will be noted in the meeting. That's opposed to what was there. Each topic shall not be recorded. And that was our practice up until now. And I was in favor of that change until I read 2 legal opinions on that. And both of them highly recommend that we not record legal comments, or record member comments in minutes. We could do it separately, a separate document, but to record them in the minutes was very strongly recommended against. And so I would move to either pull that item and restore it back the way it was, or add a section that would say that those comments would be on a separate page in a separate report. That would be my suggestion at this point.
Okay, and what you reminded me of is I didn't ask for a motion in a second to approve this 28-day reading, but I would like to ask you if you'd like to make a motion and include your comment.
I'd love to make a motion to approve this board policy.
It's a motion to approve the 28-day reading of the policy, and then do you want to add to your motion? Do you want to add to your motion that you'd like to have that change taken out?
Okay, if we can do it now, that's great. I would move that we would remove that line that refers to each topic will be noted in the minutes and replaced with shall not be recorded in the meeting minutes.
Okay. Do I have a second to that motion?
I'll second that. I kind of agree with you, Joe. I think the idea that maybe the members don't know, and maybe they don't know, is that when we hold a board meeting, it is a board meeting. So meeting of the board and the members of the board and the conversations that happen, I think, are appropriate for minutes. But when it comes to the invitation to allow members to comment on non-agenda items, I don't think that really is an appropriate place to have it in the minutes. So I second your motion with the change.
Other comments from directors?
Yes, I have one. I would like to have added in there where we say virtually as needed, or hybrid. I would like the hybrid mentioned in there. You mentioned it verbally, but I'd like to have it included in our policy that we will also have hybrid type meetings if needed. So that would go in a couple of places.
All right, would you like to move to amend the motion to include language about hybrid meetings?
I would like to amend the motion to include language regarding hybrid as an acceptable format for our meetings.
Okay. Do I have a second for the amendment?
I'll second.
Okay, it's moved and seconded. Any discussion on the amendment of adding a reference to permission for hybrid meetings? Okay, I'm going to call for the question. This is just on the amendment. All those in favor of the amendment of adding allowance for hybrid meetings, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, motion carried. So back to the original motion as it's now amended. Any additional discussion? Eric, do we have any discussion from the community?
We do not.
Okay, then I will ask for a vote. All those in favor of the amended motion, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? I would encourage any
Aye.
member who is, okay. I think I have unanimous ayes. I would encourage any member that is interested in providing comments to us to go to the website. Under the board tab, you'll find a 28-day reading tab, and you can find this policy as it has now been amended. And please write to us at board@canyonlakepoa.com and offer your suggestions. This, I want to bring to life the whole 28-day reading period so that we can incorporate what you have to, what your thoughts are as we see it's appropriate. Okay, so we have the 28-day reading on the board meeting policy. Next, I want to go to the 28-day reading for a policy for purchasing and contract authority. And Lynn, if you could go forward to the actual, whoops, I need to have you go forward to the resolution. What I will say to you is that the 2017, the board issued authorization for the general manager to be able to be pre-approved for spending authority between $20,000 and $50,000 under certain conditions. And we've judged that it's appropriate that we expand that and we clarify what that pre-approved authority is. Lynn, I'm assuming that you're still working to bring that up. The idea is that we want to recognize that we have four areas of expenditures that are eligible for pre-approved authority. These areas include routine operations, fixed equipment, non-equipment repair and replacement, and capital improvements. What you'll find in the resolution is a description of those, of what those things mean. There's a series of definitions. Along with those definitions are a series of milestones that identify when the general manager is pre-approved to carry out work. There's our purchasing authority right now. If you can expand that screen a little bit, Lynn, you can get just one page. Okay, and you can see when you have a chance to look, if you look at the whereases, you can see the explanation for this. And again, the whole point is to take an existing policy and to expand it to give us clarity on when approvals are necessary and what constitutes the approvals, and also open the opportunity for the general manager and his staff to carry out work that needs to be done in an expedited manner. If you scroll down a little bit more. Well, scroll down a little bit more, Lynn, please. Okay, the first two, I guess this thing is just real intermittent. Could you scroll up just a bit? Here we go. That's good. For routine operations and preventative maintenance, general manager has always been pre-approved to carry out that work under the operating budget. That stays the same. We wanted to have a complete statement. For fixed equipment, repair replacement items, this is for pieces of equipment that are in place. He's pre-approved to spend up to $50,000 to get that equipment repaired, or if warranted, replaced with due consideration given the life cycle cost. The cost of equipment goes up. We're a large organization. We have some sophisticated equipment. When it breaks, it needs to be fixed. Elevators, large pieces of HVAC, kitchen equipment, that sort of thing. And we want to give the general manager the ability to get that taken care of immediately under the contracting authorities that we have. The next item is non-equipment repair and replacement projects. And we want to pre-approve the general manager up to $50,000 for the repair or replacement projects as defined, which are listed below. If it's over $50,000 to $100,000, it's got to be approved by the board in concept for specific scope of work and conceptual budget plans and a specified contingency amount prior to proceeding. And that conceptual budget is for a total project budget. So we wanted to get clarified that we wanted a project which is defined as a complete project to be brought forward if the total cost was going to be in this range. If it's under 50, he could go ahead and take care of it. If it's between 50 and 100, we could approve it in concept, and then he's free to finish it up. If it's over 100,000, we have to go through the board standard approval process. And there's a similar set of requirements for the capital improvement projects, though the numbers are different. He has the ability to commit up to $20,000 for capital improvement projects without approval, and that's similar to what we have now. In fact, it's the same thing we have now. If those projects are between $20,000 and $80,000, he has the ability to do that by giving us asking us for approval of a conceptual specific scope of work with a conceptual budget for the total project. Over $80,000, he's got to go through our approval process. Scrolling down, the director's standard approval process. Let's go down the first, it's a 4-step process. The first one is conceptual phase, including the project definition. And of course, this comes into play for certain of the limits and explains what that is. The key words is it has to include the total project cost. The second is the schematic, and for those projects that exceed the thresholds that were listed above, we need to have an approval at the schematic design development phase that includes the total project cost, and then at a substantially complete construction document phase including the total project cost. This is a very routine, usual practice as you go through for large projects. Some of these numbers may seem very large for you, but for the kind of organization we are and the kind of projects that we do and what we have to face, and the fact that we want to make sure our projects are expedited and done in a timely manner, these kind of reviews make sense and give us good community input and input by the board. And then the final review, when we actually decide to spend all the money, occurs in the construction phase. I will say that these definitions are in the 28-day rule. We're getting this formalized. This is really not something new. It's something that has been happening as we go along, though with various levels depending on the size of the projects. If you scroll down just a little bit more, we have defined what capital improvement projects are and what non-equipment repair projects and replacement projects are. And those definitions come straight out of the Davis-Sterling Act, or an interpretation of that act by a specialty consultant that does reserve studies. So I would encourage you to have a look at this if you're interested, and to comment on it either in a few minutes when we ask, or preferably by email during our 28-day review period. Do you have any comments from well, I should ask, can I have a motion from the board to accept the 28-day reading of this change, this new policy or this revised policy on pre-approved purchasing and contracting?
So moved.
So moved by Tom, second by Jean. Discussion from the board. Okay, hearing no discussion from the board, move on to Eric. Do we have any comments from the members?
We do not.
Okay. I will then call the question. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, motion carried. That goes on a 28-day read. As I said, if you would like, please check the website under the 28-day read tab under the board of directors, and please email us your comments about this authorization. We'll be taking it up in July for approval or for modification of the 28-day reading. Next on our agenda is the 28-day reading on flags and banners, and I believe Corey's going to present this to us.
Yes, good evening. Can you hear me?
I can.
Awesome. Okay, so before the board this evening is a 28-day reading for a new rule, GR 4.6, with the title being No Signs or Flags with Obscene Content or Fighting Words. The background of this issue is that in response to several complaints regarding controversial political signs and flags, the association is proposing the following rules to ban signs and flags that have obscene material and/or fighting words. These terms are defined as follows. Obscene material is matter taken as a whole that to the average person applying contemporary statewide standards appeals to the prurient interest that, taken as a whole, depicts or describes sexual conduct in a patently offensive way, and that, taken as a whole, lacks serious literary, artistic, political, or scientific value. Fighting words are defined as those by which their very utterance inflict injury or tend to incite an immediate breach of peace. Lynn, if you can scroll down, the new rule would be as follows. Regardless of sign, no sign, poster, flag, or banner viewable from the common area shall contain any obscene material or fighting words as those terms are defined in the law. The fine amount would be $250, and depending on where the flag or sign is located, it would have a different enforcement period. So if the sign is located on a member's separate interest, which is their property, it would be $250, and it could be applied weekly. If the sign or flag was located within the community setback or within the common area, it would be $250 per occurrence. The recommendation before the board this evening is that the board of directors approve the 28-day reading to adopt new rule GR 4.6 as attached.
Okay, thank you very much. I'd just like to mention that we have an emergency rule that covers this, that by our bylaws is effective for 120 days and then immediately terminates unless it is converted to a permanent rule. So this 28-day reading is about the new permanent rule. Do I have a motion to accept this 28-day reading for Rule Vision GR 4.6?
Motion to
Moved
accept.
with the exception that under the fighting words, Corey probably saw, we have tent, T-E-N-T, when the word should be 10, T-E-N-D. So let's get a D there to correct the proper word. But other than that, move to approve.
Second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve the 28-day reading of Rule GR 4.6 with the correction of tent to tend. Comments from the directors?
I'd be very glad to see this be made a permanent rule.
I would agree.
Certainly in favor of it.
Eric, do we have comments from the members?
We have one comment. Can we be a little more specific and add profanity somewhere in there? I think obscene may be subjective, and I'll answer that and say it's worded the way it's worded. We've been through this issue from top to bottom, and this is the language we need to use.
Other comments from members?
I have a comment. What about flags that are on golf carts and or boats? And same answer applies. The rule as written is written the way we need to write it.
Other comments?
That's it.
To clarify that, Eric, a flag on a boat with obscene material would be in violation of this rule. Is that correct?
Obscene, yes.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
And that's because it's viewable from a common area. Because that's the only descriptor of where this flag or banner is. Okay. Any other comments? Last call.
Nope.
I'd like to call a question on approval of the 28-day reading for Rule GR 4.6 All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. We're going to move on to item 6.8, the ratification and design service for the exterior lodge updates. Eric?
Yes, sir. Make sure I'm unmuted. The Board of Directors awarded a contract for design services to update the exterior of the lodge facility, specifically the front patio and event spaces, the lawn area used for car shows and Fiesta Day, etc., the entrance to the Holiday Bay Room, and the patio around the existing fountain. Included will be a retaining wall, which will allow a much larger front dining patio and basically will create free real estate by building a retaining wall on an unusable slope and turning that into a usable area with a pretty amazing view of the lake, which will allow us a larger front dining patio, an area where we can have weddings or events, concerts, patio dining, shade structures, and usable for multiple purposes, including not having to rent a tent for Fiesta Day every year and that type of thing. We have a multitude of events on that front lawn area in front of the lodge, and most of those involve renting some kind of shade or equipment, or the idea is that we would turn this into a convertible event space that can be used for many different things. Staff is requesting to have the board ratify the fund expenditures from the Repair and Replacement Fund 02670. The plans for the project shall be presented at a future board meeting. The fiscal impact for these design services is $28,800. And the recommendation is that the board of directors ratify the design services contract for the lodge exterior updates in the amount of $28,800. Funding to be drawn from the Repair and Replacement Reserve Fund 02670, effective June 2nd, 2020. And
Thank you, Eric. Could you please say a few words about that this really is an ongoing project that's been considered by a couple of previous boards that involves the interior remodel of the lodge, and this remodel and these projects are going to be brought together when they're presented, and that it talk a little bit about the people that have been involved in developing the design.
okay, this is a ongoing project. Started probably a year and a half, maybe 2 years ago. Inside the lodge, we have basically 20-year-old surfaces. The marble flooring in there is 20 years old and it's cracked and dirty and really needs to be replaced. The reserve study has a large sum of money set aside to replace that floor, and replace the carpeting, and replace the worn out upholstery on the booths and the paint. And so we retain the services of interior design professionals so that we didn't haphazardly go in and do one of these things at a time. We wanted a restaurant designer to look at the whole thing and help us update our 20-year-old restaurant and make it a place where our members will find it appealing. It'll be attractive and competitive with outside restaurants, be a place that they can be proud of to bring their guests and their family, and a place that our members want to go because it's like any other competitive modern restaurant. And so that part of that interior design project then evolved into we hired somebody with a lot of restaurant experience. We got several bids. We chose a designer that has a fantastic resume for restaurants. We then took the interior design that we got and elaborated on into a construction set of plans with an architect that she works with. And we now have changed the bar layout so that the front dining area, the front patio area, which we just discussed, can be better served by bartenders and food servers, and that there's just a better flow. There's considerations made for sound, to keep the sound from a band in the bar away from a concert in the Holiday Bay Room. And we looked at all the different types of functions we have and the fact that we need to replace all these 20-year-old materials. And we took all of these wants and needs that we have to bring the the Lighthouse Restaurant into the current day. And we're taking all those things into consideration. And then the last board requested that we actually come up with a design for this front patio and event space area and kind of combine those projects together so that when we go out to bid, we can do this whole renovation of the inside and the outside of the Lighthouse bar and restaurant together. And we're excited to do this. It is a 20-year-old building. It's had a couple minor remodels along the way, but most of the finishes are old and tired, and restaurants need to be updated to make them places that people want to visit. And everyone in the restaurant business acknowledges that. And we did that at the country club. Our bottom line improved greatly. People really like going there now. It was kind of tired looking, and we spent some money over there, and we've seen it in our bottom line. And our job is to improve the community and keep up our standards and maintain these amenities so that they're attractive and modern. And that's what we plan to do here.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Can I have a motion to approve this change, or this addition of the design service contract for the lodge front patio event space updates?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Have a second. Have a motion and a second to approve this. Nice picture, Lynn.
I was gonna say, that looks familiar.
Oh, I love those kids. That's beautiful. Anyway, comments from the directors, please.
I think this is something that will definitely add a lot of value to our community and make that area more useful.
I'm excited about this, and I'm happy to hear that staff is also excited about it because, you know, they've been for some of the events that they have over there, they've been having to rent furniture and tents and stuff like this, and this will help with that as well.
I'm equally excited. I'm looking forward to seeing the drawings and seeing what the designer has in store for us.
Okay, Eric, do we have comments from the members?
You're muted. There
I'm
you
sorry,
go.
I was muted. We do not have any comments on that item.
I had a comment on that
Okay.
item.
Oh, you did. I'm sorry. Earlier. Go ahead.
Hello.
Go ahead.
Well,
Hello.
and now my comment may be skewed a bit simply because of the additional information I'm hearing. And there's what I understood from just the reading. It was about the front dining room or the front area, the front patio area, which to spend $28,800 for a design team to come in and redesign that to have better restaurant experience or bar experience and what have you didn't seem to make sense. I think an understanding of what this full 28,000, because you guys started mentioning other things, then starts to make sense than just what I was able to read from the action item of simply spending $28,800 for a redesign of specifically the front patio and event spaces. So that was my initial concern because I felt that was a great deal of money compared to just buying upgraded patio, beautiful patio furniture and large umbrellas in that existing space to go ahead and use that for any event. Since while there are events out there, it's not too many events. So I don't know if there's a conceptual drawing or something that I can, and quite frankly, everyone else in the community can look back and see what your end goal is trying to achieve. But again, from this action item, it was very limited. So I'm curious what this full $28,800 entails, because that's a hefty price to pay for a design.
I can expand on the description I gave, Renee.
Awesome.
There were, as I said, there were multiple goals, and we took all the wants and wishes and needs for this area. We talked to our banquet staff, we talked to our restaurant staff, we talked to our bar staff, our food server staff. We looked at the traffic flow. We looked at the fact that it gets hot and shade is a premium there. So included in this concept is 2 different shade structures. One shade structure that would replace us renting a giant circus tent at least once a year during Fiesta Day, and we would have basically a bandstand area that would replace that tent. That could also be rented out for weddings. So there's a revenue center function there. Over the dining, as I said, there'll be a large retaining wall, which creates out of the unusable slope a nice flat, larger paved area for a much bigger dining patio that will also have shade and fire tables, fire pits underneath it. The whole thing will be shaded, and it'd be like any outdoor restaurant with all those appealing features. And so I know the description is very simple. It's hard to gather all that. It does talk about shade structures, but there's a lot going into this, and it's basically we're trying to serve all the needs that this area fulfills. And we're excited. We're getting close. Hopefully in the next month or 2, we'll have something we can show the members and have a brief comment period.
Okay, so and I appreciate the description. My recommendation would be in the future, especially when you have so many individuals within the lake who are financially struggling and they feel that money is just going to fruitless things, to be more descriptive in that, especially when you talk about a wedding space that generates revenue, that of course helps each individual keep their POA fees at a neutral level or not increasing at a greater amount. So I would recommend you do that. And then of course, I fully support, after hearing that, sounds like a great idea. It makes sense why it would cost $20,000 and change to go ahead and have a design company come in and do this design that will better help the community. So that would be my recommendation in the future, of just clarification for everyone. So I understand the need to keep things simple, but in this time, I think it's better to be a little bit more descriptive when it comes to these action items.
Appreciate that very much, Renee. And I'd just like to say that 28-day reading on purchasing and contracting authority, we went in and we defined the steps, and it's at those steps for a project of this size that we would have milestones and approval by the board and solicit member input. We can't design these things by committee. We want to hire the best designers that we can. Right. We want to go forward in a way that really serves the entire community, because we're a community of communities, and this is a place where we all get to go and serve. So your point is very, very well taken. I look forward to having a more systematic process, if you will, going forward. But this is coming forward to us, out of the past, and we want to keep moving on.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Eric, do you have any other comments?
I do not.
Okay. So I have a motion to approve a $28,800 contract for the design services for the large front patio event spaces. All those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed? Motion carried. Thank you very much. Okay, next on our agenda is a discussion item. This is something that's new, at least from last year. We didn't do this last year, but something that I want you to look forward to as we go forward. We're going to have a chance to take a piece of information that we have and give our members a chance to respond to it, either tonight or to respond to it by email to us as we move forward. This is the proposed project plan for 2021 that the board needs to approve for our staff. Lynn, if you could put up the matrix for us. What we've done is yeah, it's not there. You gotta dig a little deeper. Let me know if you don't have it, because I could share my screen. I think I might have it. Okay, here we go. That's great. If you could scroll up. You'll recall at the last board meeting, we had a presentation of the recommended plan from the Facility Planning Committee. We also had a list of goals that Eric had given to us that were established by the staff. And we had a report, and it was actually in this meeting's binder from operations about the kind of things that they were looking forward to. We've written those all into one place here and given them a color coding. And what I want to do is just talk down through these. This is the list that's up for consideration. We hope to take this list and adjust it based on our own perceptions and what we hear from our members, and get this approved in July, at our July meeting. Now, you know, it's interesting. I just want to point out that we're all extremely concerned about our assessments, and we're concerned about spending money right now. We're concerned about the impact of COVID-19. And so as we look at this, on the one hand, we know we've got this money in the bank. We have this money as our capital improvement money and our repair and reserve money. It's there to be spent. On the one hand, it's good to carry out these projects right now because we might get a bit better pricing. It's good to get the money into our community. It's also good for us to move forward with our projects. On the other hand, we're spending money that maybe we should save. I checked with our accounting staff, and I found, much to my delight, if I might say, that 92% of our members have either paid in advance, about a third of them, or already made their first assessment payment. We had 18 people apply and are now in a payment program. We wanted to help the people that were in trouble, and those people have applied. We have 8% of the people that we haven't heard from, and accounting said that we usually see in June and July an uptick of people who get caught up, who are a little bit slow in getting their assessment started. I took that as encouragement that our community is very conscious of that we have folks that are struggling, but the vast majority of our people have already paid or in full or are making their assessments right now, and that gives me some encouragement to continue this conversation. Every one of these projects is at a different stage. Some of them are just recommendations, some of them have been approved, some of them are in design, and some of them are in construction. Just to look here at this list, to start with the capital improvement projects, we've got the common areas installing security cameras as approved for construction. The country club message board is a suggestion that we received. The Lodge Dog Park is, help me out, is that the dark, Lynn, could you scroll down? I'm sorry. I want to make sure I get this right. Bold, I believe, is projects that are approved. No, bold is a staff recommendation. Okay, you can go back up now. I'm sorry. So we have a staff recommendation related to the large dog park and the security cameras and the secured motorcycle parking at the entry gates. The exercise workout room has been recommended by FPC, and there's no work been done on that yet. Indian Beach shade structures are in design. Solar carports are recommended by staff. Large bar and patio expansion is what we were just talking about. It's in design. Security lighting at the mailboxes is recommended by FPC. Monument signs at the estates are in design. Eastport monument signs are staff recommended, and we're working our way through a permitting process there. North Ski Area shade structure is in design. The pool building addition we approved last month, that's under construction, as is the Roadrunner ADA ramp. The Roadrunner restroom is in design. We want to get that design done and get that process this year. The North Sierra Park, which includes the pump track, is under design right now. We approved that a couple of months ago to move forward with that. Hope to see that scheduled and be able to talk more about it in the coming months. Sierra Park West shade structure is in design. Tea gathering room is suggested by FPC. And the wave attenuation devices have been canceled. Those wave attenuation devices are going to be removed this week, and we're not going to be moving forward with phase 2. Phase 1 was to put out what we have to prove that it worked. And the proving that it worked, it turned out to be an issue about what it looked like and how effective it was and how durable it was. And all I can say is that we've decided to take them out. And so that's not going to be on the table anymore. If you could scroll down a little bit, I'll just continue this. The repair and replacement projects, campground restroom and golf course irrigation phase 1 are recommendations by the FPC. Happy Camp playground equipment we approved for construction. It's going to be on order here soon. Holiday Bay lighting is a suggestion. Holiday Harbor kitchen is in design. Install the docks at Lucky Cove. Those things are recommended by staff. As you'll see in Steve's report, the docks are finished and waiting. We're going through our normal process of dealing with cove meetings and folks that share coves and getting that squared away. The Lighthouse Foundation is a recommendation to get our Lighthouse Foundation strengthened. And I'm hoping to get the lighthouse lifted up out of the water when the lake is full. We'll see how that turns out. Landscape equipment improvements for our parks and beaches is recommended by staff. Landscape master plan by FPC, lodge bar patio expansion. Now that's another $200,000. It's $200,000 above. This is the part that's repair and replacement. The other part is capital improvement. So that is listed here as a $400,000 project. Now these numbers are not fast numbers. These are numbers that are markers for us, so we get an idea about what size projects we're talking about. Those prices will be refined as we go forward with our milestones and before any final decisions are made. And those final decisions to go into construction will always be done based on hard bids, just like we've always done. Mailbox concrete slab replacement. This is an issue that's underway. Our mailbox slabs are a tripping hazard, and we're in the process of getting that taken care of. Moonstone Beach play equipment's under design, and the reserve and repair and replacement program is under review. So that's, and I'm not going to do the road reserve projects because those are things we have to take care of. We have a large sum of money coming from our lawsuit remediation, and that's going to be based on a road reserve study that's in process right now. So I just wanted to talk through all of that and wanted to give our members a chance to weigh in and give us their opinions. I would like to remind you that I see us and our board sees us as a community of communities, and that we need to think about everyone here and everybody that's paying and how these things are going to be useful for the various communities we have. I'm very interested in us seeing ourselves as one community, but I'm also very interested in hearing from you about your thoughts. And that can either be right now off the top of your head, or if you'd like to write to us, again, this will be posted on the website under the board, and you can write to us. So Eric, do we have any, or directors, do you have any comments that you'd like to make?
Yes, I do. In regards to the golf course irrigation phase 1, it's a pretty sizable dollar amount, and an effort to try to be a little more efficient with our money. I would like the board to consider a phased approach, and an approach that would allow for the full design of the project, and along with including in the different phases, giving us opportunity to do some of the more urgent and pressing work, like replace some of the pump stations and the weather station. Do those early and stretch the project over a period of 2 or 3 phases. So it's just a thought that I had that I would like to share with the board and give consideration when we go a little further with these projects.
Okay, thank you, Joe. Other comments?
I have a comment from Tiffany Paul.
Hi, yes. You said you wanted the track, or it's 4001-056.
Thank you.
I do appreciate what you're stating in regards to hearing what we have to say as community members. I understand that we are budgeted for a lot of these items. My background is accounting, CFO. I've been director of a lot of things financially. So I do understand that the money is set aside, but I do think that my biggest concern still is the fire cost. And so seeing these, that we have the money set aside for these different things, or that we're looking at these different things, the fire cost still is my utmost concern with making sure that we don't have to do any other revisions or increases to be able to continue to carry that. So that's really where I love all these projects. A lot of these I do feel would help the community, would help us, with me, with my kids. But at the same time, I really do, that's still in my forefront. A year ago, I was there speaking about it. I know you guys have done what you can, but that's still a really big concern of mine. So.
I'm just having a little bit of trouble. You're saying you're concerned about the final cost?
The fire and police cost.
Oh.
Fire and police costs, okay.
Because I know that's gonna be a big part of the budget going forward. And so I think that's looking at all these other projects, I'm really concerned with us needing to be able to pull some more money to be able to pay for that so we don't lose those services.
Tiffany, I can shed a little light on that. The emergency services budget for fire and police is the City of Canyon Lakes budget. And we own the fire station. We lease the fire station to the city for $1 a year. And the emergency services come out of their budget, not our budget, not the POA's budget.
Okay, well, that does help. I wish we could do something to help with the city in regards to that, because if we lose that, I mean, it's gonna be a POA and a city thing.
Understood.
Like.
We've looked at options of working with them, and it's been a many-year conversation, but it's essentially public safety is the city's responsibility.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Other comments?
Chris, I would like to ask if there's a project that we as a board member have, is there can we add, do you want us to add it now or wait till our discussion in July?
Well, I think you ought to add it now, Jeannie, just so that the members have a chance to hear what we're saying. We're in open discussion now. Just to say one more time, something that you know, is that under Davis Turley, the only time we can really talk about this stuff is in open session. And and that's because the members deserve to hear what we have to say and what we're thinking. So please, add your project.
I think, I know we've spent a great bit of time over in the country club, done some wonderful things in the men's locker room. I think the women's locker room needs a little, that old antiquated mauve colored laminate for lockers and bathroom stalls and sink countertops. So I would like to see something added this year for the women's locker room as well over at the country club.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Other comments?
I have Travis?
Yes.
Did you want to speak?
Yes, please.
Go ahead.
Travis Montgomery, 3863-010. I'm really pleased to see that the mailbox slabs are on this list of items. Since that project started, I've had great concerns about those slabs and have expressed them to the POA. But I believe, it's my opinion, that the majority of them are not, first and foremost, not ADA compliant. I know that the ones in front of my house or near my house, a person in a wheelchair could not access. Plus, there's a couple of step issues there, and they have been marked because of that. But I'm really glad to see that that's an item moving ahead, because I think in the long run, it'll be a big cost savings versus someone becoming injured and or having other issues with ADA. So glad to see it on the list.
Thank you.
Can we talk about the pool?
Sure. Well, let me just clarify. If you want to address the recent renovation of the pool, we need to do that during the member comment period. If you want to talk about something that's on our project list related to the pool, I don't remember that there is anything, then we could talk about that now.
Oh, we can now or not now?
Not now.
Okay, great. Let me know when.
Yep.
Thank you.
Chris, I'd like to address on the 2021 capital improvement there is something called exercise/workout room. There's also something called team gathering room. And in the community here for many, many years, we've talked about a central area or a recreation area for young people, or better known as the community center. So it's been out there for 10 or more years. I would like to try to move that up, be looked at in the 2021 projects. I mean, we call it community center.
And Jim, just so I understand, you're suggesting that that community center could serve these other two items, the exercise workout area and the team gathering room? Okay.
That is correct.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Other comments? Anything else, Eric?
No.
Okay, well, we have, as I can tell, we have about 40 people on this call. I appreciate that very much. This is not a rigged discussion. This is a discussion where we're desperately, that's probably not a good word. We are really, really interested in what the community has to say about what our plans are going forward. So what I would encourage you, if you don't want to speak openly to everyone like this, to please write to us. Like I said, board at canyonlakepoa.com. It's a great email string. It's a very good way to communicate with us. We will communicate back with you. As you probably noticed, we do not communicate on the various Facebook pages. It's not a constructive way to try to pass along information or answer specific questions. So that's a decision that we have made. So please communicate with us about this. Any last comments about our projects?
Chris, I want to let you know that right now we have 39 participants and we have another 21 people watching on Facebook. We had a peak of about 70 people combined tonight. So it's a pretty popular forum we're doing here.
Very, very extraordinary, and I'm very pleased with that. Thank you all for participating that way. Okay, now we're ready to go to member comments. And Katie, I think that's what your signal is, member comments. Go ahead. You'll need to be unmuted.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. My name is Nancy Tice, and I live at 3779019. My husband, Robert Tice. Bob and I moved to Canyon Lake approximately 8 years ago. And at that time, we thought we really had found the slice of paradise with great friends and neighbors and amenities. We tried to be good citizens. We volunteer, we join clubs, we do charity work, we try to get involved when it's needed. But lately we are experiencing something more out of a nightmare. Lately we've been verbally harassed and bullied and sworn at. And why? Because we decided to express our First Amendment right by flying 2 flags outside our home, as we've seen many people do in Canyon Lake, expressing our voting choice. Now my flag, just so you know, is a Democratic flag, unoffensive, and it simply says, I'm sharing my screen, can you see it? This one?
Yes.
Yeah.
It just says Biden 2020, our best age children, as opposed to some of the other flags I think we've seen, and you've made a comment on tonight, so I don't think that needs to be in the public view. So let's get rid of that. Then I'd like to say that I'd like the community would be concerned about the effect of the rhetoric has on our property values. Because we're supporting the Democratic Party this term, we have been enduring ridicule and told to F the out of Canyon Lake, you don't belong here, who let you in here, get the F out, etc., etc., etc. We live on the East Bay, and not a single weekend goes by without someone in the passing boat shouting a harassment of some type. Sitting on our own deck has become like running a gauntlet. My husband and I are not the only Democrats experience the harassment. I have several friends who are afraid to speak up or show any support for their party for fear of vandalism, harassment, or bullying. There have also been threats via social media, and this is just one such post. I don't know if you can see that share on the shared screen. Can you see this?
No.
Yeah,
Just,
No.
just your banner.
yeah. Oh, you can only see the banner?
That's it.
Okay, let me get rid of this. This is the post. This is just one example of, can you see this one?
It's on for a second.
Okay, hold on. Visible now?
Yes.
Okay. That's just an example of the posts. It's my belief everybody in here in Canyon Lake has the right to feel safe, and that their political preference, no matter what it is, should be allowed to be expressed without a barrage of either verbal or written harassment. If I'm not mistaken, I think the board already addressed this in your rules and regulations at G2.3, zero tolerance for harassment. I would like for all Canyon Lake citizens to feel safe in this community. Unfortunately, lately, that has not been the case for many of us and our friends. I would really like to hear from the board to speak upon, on this issue and what course of action could be taken to try and deal with this issue here in our community, which should be a family-oriented community, accepting of everyone's views.
Okay, appreciate your comments, Nancy. Thank you very much.
Sure.
Who's next, Eric?
Hi.
Please
So
stay
I want
with
to
us,
ask
Nancy.
about
We're
the
gonna
pool.
This is, please give your name and track and lot.
Sure. Katie Beheimer, and track is 3716 and lot 175. And I went to the pool the night it opened with a reservation, my husband and I, and we were really disappointed. I wrote a letter explaining all the things that, you know, we found wrong with it. The pool deck and the landscaping look great, but the pool is just not finished. The steps are way too steep. I couldn't climb out and had a really hard time. The railing was loose. I've written a letter telling all about this. The sides, the bottom, everything was very rough. There was ridges. You could feel the rebar under the thin plaster on the bottom. You could see a break between the blue swim lanes and the plaster where it didn't come up and meet it. The water was very ripply like this. The bottom of it, it just went up and down. And next to the 5-foot tile on the side, the water was only like 4 feet deep. My husband tripped on a rock on the bottom of the pool, but it was underneath the plaster. And it's just terribly, terribly rough. The top, the coving, it's unfinished concrete. And I don't know if these people were paid, but that whole pool needs to be dug up and rebuilt. So I did write a letter.
I understand. Eric, would you like to respond a little bit on that?
I answered, is your name Katie?
Yes.
Yeah, I answered your email earlier today, and question by question, everything you mentioned is being addressed, and the contractor and subcontractors have not been paid, and there's a punch list. The rough surfaces you talk about, or everything's being solved.
Oh, that's terrific. Yeah, I think they're going to have to dig it up though, because I don't know how they can make it deeper than it is.
We didn't change the pool at all. All we did was take the plaster off and re-plaster the over.
Well, you did change the steps.
We did not. We did not.
Okay, so let's not have we don't have to have a discussion about this.
No.
Katie, thank you very much for writing to us. Eric has written back to you. The good news is that we are very, very concerned about the quality of our pool. We were very interested in trying to get it open again. And so we did, and maybe we opened it too soon, I don't know. But these things will be taken care of. Okay, next up, Eric.
Let's see. I have Jason Turner would like to speak.
Okay, Jason, track and lot.
Jason, I unmuted you, I think.
Hi there.
Okay.
Yes, hello.
Hi.
Hi there. Yes, I'd like to add, I realize that we did an amendment for GR 4.6, but I would like to
give us your track and lot, please, Jason?
Oh, see,
we need your track and lot.
3408008.
Okay, thank you.
The current guidelines of GR 4.5A8 And there is no distinction between a political flag and a political sign. That's not distinguishable. It says that there may not be political signs on golf carts, boats, or trailers. And I would like to know how that's going to be enforced immediately.
Eric, do you have a simple answer to that, or should I give a general answer?
I don't have a simple answer to that. You should give a general answer.
You know, Jason, this is a very, very difficult situation, as you can imagine. We've got free speech on one hand, and we have our rules on the other hand. We're hearing from a number of people on both sides. We are trying to sort through what we are legally able to do that also meets in a balanced way the needs of our members. We are not ignoring the situation. We hear about it often, and we're working to try to resolve and come out with some kind of a statement. I will say that it's tied up in our rules with political signs that are related to our own elections, not political signs in general. That's one of the issues that we have. The other thing that's tied up is political signs that appear in the common areas. And that also makes for a complexity. When it comes down to signs and banners on golf carts, then we're tied up with how big a sign, which we don't regulate. What can it say, which we don't regulate? All we say is that golf carts have to have a flag so you can see them. Just because it's 3x5 or 6x8 or something, that's another thing we're trying to wrestle with. So what I'm trying to say in general is, thank you. I appreciate your concern. We're all concerned, and we're trying to work this through. It's June, and November is the election, and it's not my intention to let this go much longer before we can take a position that we feel we can, it's honoring to our members.
I can appreciate that. I would just add that it's not rolled up. You have GR 4.5B, which talks about election members. I'm talking about 4.5A, which is political signs on boats, trailers, and vehicles, having nothing to do with CPOA members. These are generic political signs that can't be on boats, trailers, and golf carts.
I think Corey can probably help us with this, Chris, a little bit, but my understanding, Jason, I see what you're saying, and the rule probably isn't clear enough, but I think the intent of that particular rule section that you're quoting is about the parked vehicle. You know, a golf cart, a vehicle, a boat, a trailer can't be parked on the streets and then also produce a sign. The moving vehicles are the ones that I think we have very little that we can do with.
Okay, thank you very much for your comment, Jason.
Thanks.
Who's next, Eric?
I'm gonna murder the pronunciation. Sothy, S-O-T-H-Y. Are you there? Let's see if I can find you. There, I unmuted you.
Hi, I'm here.
Hi.
My question is, if it hasn't been addressed yet, I might have missed it, but we have a ton of community members that are upset that the POA had applied for the PPP and was approved. And I don't know if there's any truth to this, but can anybody elaborate on that? As if we did get approved and we did apply, why did we feel the need to get those funds if we are still continuing to pay our dues?
So before Eric talks about that, could you give us your track and lot, please?
Yes, it is 03718-118.
Eric?
That's a complicated issue. We put out a press release, which I'll refer you to on our website. We made a public statement and a press release to try and explain to people the reasoning that management and the board felt this was absolutely the right thing to do. The government made money available to businesses of all sizes that were adversely affected by the COVID-19 shutdowns. And we have several sources of revenue, the golf course, 2 restaurants, et cetera, that that bring in revenue. We continued to pay our employees whose families, we have 140 employees, and they all have families and mouths to feed. And, you know, at some point, the stay-at-home orders were going to be over, so we can't, no business can really afford to really lay off every single person that works for them and pay them to stay home and then try to get all these good, hardworking people to come back. And the program was designed, the name of the program is PPP, which is Paycheck Protection Program. And we applied and through our bank that we use, Seacoast Bank, and they did our controller and our bank did an excellent job of getting this loan in, this application in on time. We got the money, and the money is being used for exactly what the government designed it to be used for, and that is to protect the paychecks of our 140 hardworking employees, and to continue to allow them to put food on their family's table. And if we continued to pay our valued employees and not receive these funds from the government, those funds would have had to come from somewhere, or we would have had to lay all those people off. And that's what the money was designed for, and that's what we use the money for. Based on that, the money is forgivable by the government, and so it's a zero interest. Here's your money, and as we're in the process right now of applying for the entire thing to be forgiven, which means we no longer have to take that massive hit to our bottom line. And anything that affects our budget, this company is funded by the members. And so if we take an adverse financial hit from these closures and our revenue centers being closed, that has to be passed on to the members. And I don't know if I've answered your question. I've tried, but this is your business. This is the members' business. And so when we're affected negatively by this COVID-19 closure, the members own this organization, and our job is to make fiduciary decisions to protect the association and protect its assets. And we would have probably had a several $million hit if we didn't apply for this loan. And we, you know, the alternative would be a special assessment to recover the money that the association lost.
You
Okay,
definitely.
Sophie, thank you.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
I was going to say you definitely cleared that up for all of us because we wanted to make sure that the money was appropriated correctly, that we wouldn't end up having to pay any interest on that loan.
Nope.
Thank you.
100% forgiven. Thank you for your question.
Who's next, Eric?
Let's see. Coach Val, would you like to speak? I lost you somewhere. Hold on. I don't see her now.
No, I just shared some
Okay, hi.
chat. I just needed to agree with Mr. and Mrs. Tice.
Okay. Okay. It's a very similar
Thank you very
comment
much.
to Mr. and Mrs. Tice about the
No, I just shared.
different political parties.
I just needed to agree with Mr. and Mrs.
I'm sorry, who's speaking now?
That was Coach Val.
Okay.
She's
Okay,
she's
thank
good.
you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Let's go on to the next one.
I believe we're all caught up.
Well, I had one I had submitted.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So Renee Griffiths, track 3778154. So just a few things. This has come from suggestions. I always ask people what they would want to do to improve Canyon Lake. So while walking, there's a fabulous older couple, and they had suggested that at Roadrunner Park and maybe Indian Beach, and there might be other spots as well, but they live locally in this area, that having park benches added to above or street level. So for those people, even with ADA ramps, which are fabulous that you guys are installing, can't quite make it down, but could sit during their walk and enjoy the view of Canyon Lake. So I was just wanted to let you know that that was the suggestion, adding park benches at street level for Roadrunner Park and Indian Beach. And again, there might be other parks that would enjoy that as well. And also a group of people who were playing volleyball. They play volleyball regularly at Roadrunner Park. I'm not part of that group because I do not have that type of coordination. But they were suggesting adding softer sand. And while I understand volleyball sand is very expensive, there might be something in the middle compared to the gravelly sand that exists right now. And currently they have to wear shoes so their feet don't get cut up. So I wanted to throw that out there. Also, with regards to the minutes for the board meetings, it appears from what I can see on research that the only time I can see the minutes for the meeting is when the agenda for the next month is released. So I would like the board to consider having the minutes for these monthly meetings released within a week and available on the website for people to maybe miss that meeting, can go through and look and see what was discussed and how our board members voted on, you know, whatever was set in place. And the last is also for our website to add a suggestion box. While I understand and I saw that there's a suggestion box, if you go within Canyon Lake, it would be nice to have something on the website. So when people do have suggestions or recommendations, instead of, or just another way that they can just easily click on, whether it's through the app or through the website, to add that. That was it.
Okay, thank you, Renee. Anybody else, Eric?
Will Everly, if you'd like to speak. Or I can read it for you, either.
He's muted.
I gotta find him. There's 40 people on right now, so it takes me a second to find everybody. I don't see him. Oh, there you are.
I just wanted to support what the Tysons had to say, and that and just that was it. And it's 3863-032.
Thank you, Will. Looks like Travis wants to speak. Where's Travis? Travis, go ahead. Wait. Hold it.
3863-010.
Yes, sir.
Okay, it's working. I just wanted to speak to the repavement project. I was on the POA board in 2006, 2007, the last time the POA started a major roadway repair program. That's also when we started putting away about $2 million a year into reserves to be able to do this. They just finished doing the last lining, striping of the street in front of my house, in fact, today. And I thought it was done in an outstanding manner, everything from beginning to end. There was a flyer on my door knob that said, if you have any questions, call us. I called and said, I have a couple questions, and they said, we'll get back to you. And 10 minutes later, Doug Martin, president of the company himself, called, resolved my question. I saw Mr. Martin himself out on the project more than once, just really hands-on management. And I just think it's right now, it's only a week or two old, but it really looks good. I am starting a pool if anyone wants to get into it, and that's how long it will be before the first utility company comes in and starts digging in it. So there's several numbers still available. If you want to contact me privately, you can get in that pool. Great job. Well done. Thank you.
Tonight, Travis. I'm going to have nightmares.
Thanks, Travis.
Thank you.
All right. Anyway, thank you very much. Great job.
Thanks. Let's see. I think we're all caught up.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. We want to move on to our association reports, and what I've what I've asked the staff to do is Eric's going to give us an overarching report. All the other reports are in the board package, and I'd ask you to refer to those. Eric, go ahead.
My turn, huh? GM report?
Yes, sir.
Okay, make sure I'm unmuted. You can hear me. Okay. I have a lot of scribbles to read, so bear with me. I've been trying to make notes and moderate this 70-person meeting at the same time. Okay, so thank you, Steve, for your presentation on the pavement project. As Steve said, that project's nearly complete. We're very proud of it. Thank you, Travis, for the nice comments. I've had multiple questions today and yesterday. What are the diagonal stripes in this other lane on Canyon Lake Drive North? And that is a golf cart lane. So we essentially reconfigured the left-hand turn lane and took some space from there and the traffic lane and allowed a lane where people can park in front of their homes and golf carts can travel safely between the cars and the parked cars. And so everybody wants to know, what is that lane and what are those diagonal stripes? And that's for the safety of golf carts. It looks like that's popular. I've had a couple people thank me for that already. So I think that was probably a good idea. And when we do the next phase of the paving project, we will likely try to incorporate a golf cart lane where we have space elsewhere, like Canyon Lake Drive South. Hope that answers some questions. I do have some COVID-19 updates. The POA was, like every other business in the country, the world, severely affected by COVID-19 and the stay-at-home orders. Our things are slowly returning to normal. Our POA management building here is open. Various departments have modified hours for the time being. We're working towards our normal operating hours. For the most part, we're pretty close. I think we're 8 to 4 downstairs in member services. I don't think we've done Saturdays yet. That's probably coming. Everybody's been very respectful. Everybody's socially distancing. Many members choose to wear masks. Not everyone, it's optional. We've installed tempered glass for social distancing. We have hand sanitizer. We're very, very busy right now with boat renewals and golf cart renewals. The campground is reopened. I've had several questions about, are we gonna have a lottery at the campground for 4th of July, for campsites during 4th of July? And the answer is yes. However, we're gonna conduct that lottery virtually, probably on Zoom, just like this, instead of having 200 people standing in line at Happy Camp on a Saturday trying to find out if they're going to get a campsite. We'll do it just like we always do, only we'll do it virtually like this. And on the topic of 4th of July, we are going to have a 4th of July fireworks show. We made that decision probably a month and a half, 2 months ago. We have to commit to a fireworks vendor. We're kind of in the middle of the stay-at-home orders, and not many people seem too happy about having to stay at home, so we kind of had to roll the dice and make a decision, and many other cities in the area have decided to continue with their fireworks show. How that's going to look exactly, I can't tell you right this second. We're following the state on a day-to-day basis. I can tell you there's going to be social distancing requirements and guidelines and advisories. Right now we allow people out in their boats. Many people watch the fireworks in their boats. I expect that many people will do that night. Many people watch from their homes, so social distancing isn't a problem. So the 4th of July is going to happen. Exactly what that looks like, we have about a month to figure that all out, so just stay tuned. The restaurants, both of them are open for takeout currently, and we've been very busy in both the Country Club and the Lighthouse. This next week, we will be opening for dine-in at both restaurants. I believe the Lodge is going to be open Tuesday the 9th with modified hours and modified menus for a few weeks. And the Country Club is going to be opening Friday, June 5th. We should be open from Wednesday through Sunday, 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. and Fridays, 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. And These are all subject to change, so watch our website. The bottom line is the country club and the lodge are going to be opening next week, and we're very excited to bring all those employees back and start to welcome our members back into the restaurants. I finally had a sit-down meal a couple days ago in a real restaurant, and it was amazing. So I'm glad we're going to be able to do that. I didn't get any Parmesan cheese because they can't have it on the table, so I was a little bummed about that. But if you need condiments, you have to ask. So the pool we opened, we've had modified hours. Those are listed on the website. We still have a reservation system that's worked very well. We've reduced our capacity a little bit to allow for social distancing. That's worked very well. The pool actually looks amazing. There's all new landscaping. The shower wall has been redone. We're installing a drinking fountain with a water bottle refill station so you can lay out and have ice water in your cup. There's new speaker systems. So the pool is a whole new experience, and I urge you to make a reservation and go check it out. We have a few little punch list items like you heard earlier, and we're definitely working through those. The lodge I mentioned is opening June 9th. I won't get into all the hours and days. Basically through the week, we're going to be Tuesday through Thursday, 4 to 9. Fridays are going to be 4 to 10. Saturday is going to be noon to 10. Sunday is going to be noon to 8. All this will be on the website. We have very careful guidelines we have to follow. Currently cannot do any banquets, buffets, or live entertainment. It's a whole new restaurant experience right now, and hopefully we'll get closer to normal. But the good news is you can look forward to sitting down in a restaurant. We've been adapting to all these changes, and we're looking forward to getting back to normal at all those amenities. A couple other things. We had a really great orientation with our new board. It was a full 40-hour plus or minus orientation, about 8 hours a day, 5 days for a week. And the board went through a lot of information with staff and presentations. And I can tell you that this board is ready to go to work. We're excited for the new board, excited for our new board officers. I can tell you Chris Poland runs an extremely tight ship. He's extremely punctual and prompt. And we set out to have a 2.5-hour executive session meeting. And I don't think in the 3 hours I've been here, that we've ever had an exec session that was that short. And we started at 2 o'clock, and at exactly 4:30, we were done. And I don't know that that's ever happened. So staff is pretty excited about that. We're going to have a very efficient year. Let's see what else. Campgrounds open, 4th of July lottery. I think that's all I have. So I thank you to all 70 people who came to this meeting, and on Zoom and on Facebook. And thank you to our new board. And we're excited for a new year, and we're looking forward to our world getting back to normal.
Great. Thanks a lot, Eric.
Thanks.
I'd like to move on to the board comments. So I'd like to start with you, Joe.
Oh, lucky me, the new kid.
The new kid, you got it.
The new kid. Well, first of all, I'd like to thank everybody that supported me through that very grueling campaign. That was quite a challenging experience in my life, but we got through it. And seriously, I'm thrilled to be able to serve on the board, and I've been in the community for 31 years. Figured it was my time to give back a little bit. So, and I couldn't ask for a better group of people to work with on the board. So, looking forward to good things happening with the board and the community. I just wanted to mention two good friends of mine and icons in the community that will be leaving. Ted and Nancy Horton put their house up for sale and will moving out of the community, and I just can't let them go without thanking them for everything that they've given to the community and their time and their efforts, their expertise. Ted has helped me quite a bit with the Green Committee and golf course issues, and I really appreciate his guidance. Nancy has done so much work for us and served on the city and saved us from Goat Hill. So for those folks, we're going to miss them and wish them well. My committee reports is I'm on 3 committees. The appeals, we're back in session via Zoom. We had our first meeting last night. It was quite an experience for me. It went very well. Mary Ziegler did a good job organizing it, putting it together. And I look forward to it. What I have to say is because there weren't any appeals for the past 2 or 3 months, they've backed up. So there's over 100 pending appeals. And we're meeting once a week now until we catch up, which will go through the end of June, possibly into July, every week. Green Committee is been a member on it forever, and it's hard for me to think that I'm not a member of the committee. But they do have 2 new members, John Keglin and now John Evans, and I'm sure I look forward to them. I think they're both going to bring a lot of good experience and talent to the committee. They haven't met in the past couple of months, but they do continue to monitor the course. And Brightview has been working on a reduced contract on the golf course. And with that comes a reduced scope of work, which allowed for some of the smaller detail items to be overlooked, or not overlooked, just not done. And with that, I was assured that now as of January 1st, they're back on a full contract schedule and will get the course back into top condition as it's been. So look forward to that. I'm also on the Tuesday work group. Great bunch of guys, work their tail off every Tuesday. This COVID-19 issue has really restricted them. They haven't been able to come out for a couple of months. Boy, when Eric gave them the go-ahead to go out and do minor stuff on the golf course, they were jumping at the chance to do that. They really love being out there. Right now, they're working with a limited scope of sanding the fairways and doing a little tree trimming and a little vehicle maintenance. But other than that, they're not having their regular meetings, and they're anxious to get back to a full schedule. Typically, they take a summer break from July to October because of the heat. So they are definitely a devoted group of guys that do a great job in improving our golf course. So with that, I just wanted to make a couple of comments on the members that spoke out. Nancy, a personal friend of mine, it really pains me to see what you had to go through. I think it's a sad state of affairs that we're in when people can do what they do and not think anything of it. I know 30 years ago, if someone did or said that, there would have been a real price to pay. But today they seem to think there's not an issue and they can get away with it. And I would love to see people stand up and do the right thing. And for Coach Val and Will Everly to support that, I appreciate you coming and speaking to that. Travis, I have to tell you that I have an experience with a paving company too, and that's being involved with the Green Committee. I watched the paving project when it started in October, and I was really nervous. They told me they were going to tear that asphalt out, put the concrete in, tear the concrete out, put everything back in 3 weeks while the course was closed. And I didn't think it could be done, and they did it. And I was so impressed with them, and I watched their work throughout the community, and I very impressed with their work. And I think in the management and oversight, it's been great. So with that, I will wish everyone a good evening, and thank you for your time.
Thank you, Joe. Jim, do you want to go next?
Hey, Chris, before we get too far down this list, we skipped Bill Jordan again. Bill's supposed to get his report.
Skip Bill. No, Tom, I decided that I wanted just Eric to report on behalf of the staff and everyone else to review the reports that are in the board package. So we're good to go. Jim.
Sure. Well, I just have to comment, Joe and I really had a tough campaign. It was a real battle, but it was very nice not to have Joe on board with us, and he's been in the community for a long time. I actually found tonight's meeting very interesting. I've been on Zoom all day, and 3 months ago I wasn't even sure what Zoom was, so it was nice to see the community speaking up, and we were able to get probably got more comments on Zoom than I've seen even in some of our other meetings. On a side note, for this term for me, I will be representing the Senior Center. I will also be representing the Estates Committee and the Internal Dispute Resolution. Senior Center basically has been closed now for, I believe, about 3 months. The Estate Committee is something I was aware of, but not in much detail. And on the Internal Dispute Resolution, I've been on that committee for the last 2 years. I'll be starting my 3rd year on that. So with that, I'm going to wish everybody a good evening. And Chris, I really appreciate the way you've run this meeting tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Tom?
There we go. Thank you. Yeah, to respond earlier to the members and to those who haven't even spoken up yet about the unfortunate comments that come from a political environment. You know, we live in a community that probably there are some who do and many who don't have mutual respect for each other. We all have a right and an opinion and the right to express that. And it's unfortunate when somebody feels like they need to lash out at, I'll call the other side. If you haven't looked, I mean, not that this is an excuse, but Canyon Lake is on Wikipedia is deemed one of the most Republican cities in Southern California. And that's not an excuse, just it's the environment that we are in. So flying a Democrat's sign is probably going to see a little bit more in the way of opposition than a Republican flag, just because of the overwhelming nature. Something like 75% in our last election was Republican versus 25% Democrat. So again, not an excuse, but it is the environment that's out there. And committee-wise, I haven't had a committee meeting since we've switched gears. I'm now liaison in recreation and IDR, which will be tomorrow, and also some special committees, executive committees. Chris and I are on a couple that are related to legal matters, and look forward to enjoying my time with these new committees. I think neither one of them I've been a part of over the last 3 years. But thanks everybody for joining the meeting tonight, and we'll look for you coming up in future meetings.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you very much, Tom. Jeannie?
Sorry, I had to unmute. Thank you everybody for attending tonight. It is exciting to see this many people here. Can you guys hear me okay? Because I've heard I've been kind of garbling.
You're fine.
Hear you fine.
Okay, I am the liaison for 2 committees, the Facilities Planning Committee and the Finance Committee. And the Facilities Planning Committee, I have not had the privilege of meeting with them yet. We will meet next week. So at the next board meeting, I will give an update on that committee. I did have the pleasure of meeting with the Finance Committee last Friday. And if you remember from the beginning of our session where we introduced our 2021 goals, one of them was to pretty much support a 5-year budget plan. So at our Finance Committee meeting on Friday, Susan, our controller, gave us the format for how we're going to start looking at our budget on a 5-year picture. And she's got some great formulas built into it. It's going to tie into our repair or to all of our reserve accounts, roads, repair, replacement, and capital improvement. So that'll all feed into it. She's built in some formulas where we can play around with different percents. Anyway, it's really exciting to me to see us take this step. I think it's a big step. We also went over the April preliminary financials, and we're looking in decent shape. And that information is all online on our website. We also looked at our reserve expenditures, which once again are the capital improvement, the road reserve, and our repair and replacement. This is the first time in a while that the Finance Committee has viewed those reports. So they were excited to see that data. So that's going to be kind of nice for them to see. And then we also had an end of year accounts receivable and a bad debt overview where Susan, our controller, just basically shared her philosophy for how she tracks our bad debt over the years. So it was a very informative meeting, and the finance group is a wonderful group of very, very hardworking people. Joe Washley is online right now. Hi, Joe.
Hi, Joe.
And I think Susan's on somewhere. So I just want to say thank you to them for that. And there was a comment made on our meeting minutes, and just so that you know, the person who normally does all of that for us has been on maternity leave. Hopefully she's coming back soon. Knock on a lot of wood there, right, Harmony? And normally our meeting minutes, once they're approved, they will be posted. So the meeting minutes from the previous board meeting are attached to the current meeting agenda. Once they're approved meeting minutes, then they were posted online. So Renee, there will be a lag there between when minutes are actually posted. It's just the part of the process. So I think that's it for tonight. Thank you, everybody. It's been fun.
Great, thank you very much. Let me just say a few things. I am the liaison to the ACC. So the question of whether ACC can have a liaison is still up for discussion. Some issues there with the legality of all that. The CC&R, that's not important at this moment. I liaison to the ad hoc dredge committee. I hope to get the dredge process back on our agenda. We've been waiting to get our ACOE permit from Army Corps of Engineers. Those regulations are changing. I appreciate Darcy's comments and all the work that EBMWD is working to try to sort out contamination and how that might help us get the dredging done, dredging for their better water, dredging for our more access to the lake. And then I'm the contact to the roundtable that we have with the city, EBMWD, and the Riverside County Sheriff, and we meet once a month to share experiences and talk about things that are common to us. So I'll be going through that process. As far as our member comments, I really do relate with the things that are being said. I really wish that people would not be this harsh. Sorry, Nancy and others that have talked about that. I believe that our nation is going through a trying time right now, and it's no excuse. We have people are being encouraged to speak out and act out, and that's no excuse. We have to look to see if there's anything we can do. I don't know if there is, but we will. I'd like to say that the whole issue about signs and banners on cars and boats and trucks is continuing. As I said, we're trying to deal with that, so I hope that you'll hear more about that in the coming months. And Renee, I think your ideas were great, and it's something that we ought to be able to throw into the system. I know the official minutes have to be, as Jeannie has said, but I do, as you can tell, I'm very interested in making sure that our community has a better chance to understand what we're talking about as we represent you. And so we need to think about how we might be able to do that in a more timely manner as you have asked for. The idea of a suggestion box is fine with me, and I think I'll ask staff if we can't have that added to our website.
Chris, if I could answer that real quick.
Sure.
My dashboard, when you log into our website and make an account, the My Dashboard function, there is a make a comment or a suggestion function. And we'll make that easier to find. There's also request tracker. If you have a pothole, you go there, you look for a request tracker, you fill that out and tell us, hey, the street, this light's out, or we got a pothole or whatever. So we'll work on that.
Appreciate that.
Go ahead.
I would again ask you to please have a look at the 28-day readings that are on the website and get back to us with your information. Communicate us by email. Watching the email stream go through when it comes to the board, we have a process, we respond to those things, we will communicate with you. I am very, very interested in doing that. As you can tell, I do love to run very efficient meetings. This meeting was scheduled to be 2.5 hours. Looks like it's going to be very, very close to 2.5 hours. I like that. I like to think we get twice as much done in half the time because we're well organized and well prepared. And I want to spend as much time as we possibly can listening to our community, because this is the opportunity we can engage with you under the Davis-Sterling regulations. So thank you very much. I sincerely appreciate the opportunity to serve in this position. Look forward to working with you and looking forward to making our aspirations for Canyon Lake come true. With that, I'll like a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Move.
Motion to adjourn?
Thank you very much. Jim, second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, the meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much.